Welcome to the Why on Earth Community Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron William Perry, and today we are visiting with professional athlete and functional mushroom entrepreneur, Jake Plummer. Hey Jake, how you doing?
I'm good, Aaron. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah man, it's great to visit with you today, and really look forward to the conversation and what we'll be covering.
Yeah, I'm just glad you've been patient because we've been working to get this done for a while, and I'm glad we waited though, and the time is perfect because there's a lot of good stuff happening from what you've been telling me and what we're doing out in our space. So excited to just see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Yeah, it's perfect timing. Jake Plummer was born and raised in Boise, Idaho, and currently resides in Boulder, Colorado. He was in Tempe, Arizona. Go Devils.
Yeah.
And of course played 4 years of football at Arizona State University, leading the Devils to within seconds of a national championship his senior year. Then he was drafted in 1997 to the NFL with the Arizona Cardinals, where he played for 6 years, and then finished his career, as many of us here in Colorado know well, with the Denver Broncos, playing 4 years as quarterback and leading them to the AFC Championship game. Also, you played in the Pro Bowl in 2005.
Yeah.
And Jake is the father of three. In the bio he sent me, it says 3 amazing little humans.
Yeah.
And is also an avid handball player, pickleball player, and nature lover. More recently, Jake's become an advocate and proponent of holistic and natural health, and worked with the company Charlotte's Web to help educate and advocate for hemp as a way to improve one's health and wellness, and is now the co-founder of UMBO Functional Mushroom Company and co-founder of Michael Love Farm. We'll be talking about both of those. He's immersed in growing, extracting, advocating, and educating people about the healing benefits of legal, non-psychedelic mushrooms. You and I both, Jake, have this deep sense of affinity and connection to the fungal kingdom, which of course we've learned in recent decades is so fundamental and foundational to life on this planet as we know it. We could say it's the brain of the planet in many respects. And I want to ask you, from football and athletics to natural medicine and mushrooms, how does one make that leap, that jump, that connection?
Really, there's no plan I had for this. It's not like something I sought out to become or venture down. It was just pure coincidence to meet the right people, to have had an influence on people in the right way, that something comes up, they know where I'm at in my life and what I believe in. And that really stems from my mother and my family and the way we were raised in Boise, Idaho of all places, a state still dead set against the use of hemp as any type of medicinal. They still are so against cannabis, hemp, and really natural ways of healing. Yet my mother, my aunt, my grandma, they were all really ahead of their time. My grandma, who I grew up across the street from, was a vegetarian. Back before that was really the posh thing to be, and really believed in gardening and eating fresh and canning and preserving. So I grew up doing all this stuff, and then also a mother that, I get sick or show signs of a cold coming on, I'd take garlic and honey, echinacea and golden seal. She'd make tea. She was into all kinds of holistic ways because of the way she was raised also. So it's no surprise that I've come back to this after my path navigated through the machine of college football, which wasn't quite the beast it is now. Back when I played, it was more education and, hey, if football works out, great. Or now it's more like, hey, get me on the field, get me to the next level. My goal was always to, do the best I could wherever I was at. So had a really good stop there, and then went into the NFL, which still was so geared to keep you on the field that they really didn't practice holistic medicine because it might take a week or two longer. But my mom made comfrey poultices that she would ship to me, FedEx, because Michael Pittman had a bad toe, and I'd go in and put it on his toe. The trainers were looking at me like, what the hell's Jake doing? And Mike, I'd put it on, and he'd say, oh, wow. And then the next day he'd come back and be like, dude, you have more of those, man? It was like, it took all the heat out of my toe. Yeah. I slept, and I'm like, yeah, this stuff works, So my mom steered me down that path. I was very well aware of what I put in my body when I played, even though I took a lot of anti-inflammatories for the beating and the pain that's from game one. You're dealing with something for 17, 18 weeks. And yeah, that's part of the reason I retired. I was living on those things. I never got into the opioids. I never got into injections pre-game. I just knew it wasn't good for me. Like, trust your body, know your body, feel it. And post-career, going through the roller coaster of what that ride looks like for someone like myself who played 14 straight years of high-level ball, there's a lot of things that happen physically, mentally, spiritually. I was guided back to a former teammate, Nate Jackson, who was working with a friend, Ryan Kingsbury, who had started working with Charlotte's Web, this hemp company, CW Hemp, that was providing this illegal Schedule I plant, a weed that grows on the ditch banks, to little Charlotte Fiji and Zakai Jackson. And these mothers were fighting for that right to not get prosecuted and persecuted and thought of as criminals for giving their child a plant. And it was a really powerful thing that really opened my eyes to, wow, there's a lot that we don't know. And no fault of our own, it's just we're not taught. They're not teaching you about the things you can take and do for a headache. Instead, take this aspirin or this Advil, and it's like, well, what's in that? Mm-hmm. You should question that. You should know what those ingredients are and why they have such a strong effect. I mean, so, it's just been a path that's brought me to a lot of fun stuff. I never ever thought, that playing quarterback would bring me to having a farm that grows mushrooms and extracts them, and now a company that is trying to educate people again on this, you call it a kingdom, I say the queendom of fungi, because we're just scratching the surface here in the Western civilization, Western medicine, on its possibilities to initiate a path to wellness. We're discovering what European and mainly like Asian Chinese medicine has known for centuries. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun to bring that to people. It's confusing to some, but the curious will come ask the right questions and check it out and see for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the arc of your path. It's been so fun. It's so interesting. It's so full, right? It has so much dimensionality to it. And from my perspective as an observer and an author who notices some patterns, it also to me sort of represents symbolically an arc that hopefully we're taking as a society. And it's interesting, speaking of your grandmother, your aunt, your mother, carrying these traditions that go back centuries and millennia through virtually all cultures, working with medicinal plants and in many cases medicinal mushrooms. And it's so bizarre, really, that modern Western society can be in such a state of amnesia that these things we've been doing for so long as a species might appear to us at the moment to be strange or new or different. And when in fact, not using herbal medicine and medicinal mushrooms is actually this bizarre aberration over the last 50, 100 years or whatever, as a result of some of the modern developments in industrial profit-oriented interests. And it's not to say that the medical and pharmaceutical industries are necessarily all bad. By no means would I ever say that. But there's this opportunity we have to reconnect with the older tried and tested ways for our well-being overall, our preventative. And I love what you guys are doing, not only exploring this in your own life, but putting together products that the rest of us can enjoy and benefit from as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's that you said a lot right there with just thinking of war on drugs. And so then you got to think, well, let's war on labels, because we labeled a lot of things a drug that were a plant that grows right out here along the ditch bank. And so word choice is very important. And then, war on distractions. Because I don't want to say war, I actually don't like war, but like be mindful of your distractions, because TV and social media and these pocket computers we carry around and call phone can take you away from reconnecting to that, lost in time methods of healing that are right here, that Mother Earth is saying, here it is. You just have to take time. Well, I don't have time. Well, what are you doing with your time? Are you turning on the TV a lot? Are you watching a ton of sports? Are you scrolling? I mean, I find myself sometimes scrolling. It's like, dude, come on. What are you doing? Do something else. And TV became something I shut off and got out of my house. And never thought I could ever live without a TV. And now it's like, And now when I get to watch a show, I'm like, oh, right, yeah, I like this. But it's not an everyday thing, because I just got so much else to learn and to do, and to try to keep, pushing forward this thought of, we have what we need right here. We just have to get it back out, educate people. And it's really, it's really wild. The mushrooms are similar to cannabis and hemp because of psilocybin and psychedelic mushrooms. And most people only know mushrooms because they're a pizza topping, or they're psychedelics and they heard about magic mushrooms, or they're amanita, the red and white mushroom that's poisonous, don't eat it. Well, we're finding out that has some positive benefits too, that can really be helpful in some of the disease we've created and that we're suffering from in our culture. So why me? I don't know. I'm super excited to be a voice, to have done what I did, to have a little bit of a voice in really a demographic that doesn't look into this much. Their health and wellness, they work out, they may go to CrossFit and they drink energy drinks and they do all this stuff, but they're into modern medicine and their doctor and what they see on TV, because they're watching a lot of sports. So when I say something like this, the people listening tuned into the game last night, or they watched it last weekend. They're in that realm. And so when they hear something like this, they may first think, oh, there goes Jake. He's that hippie stoner, was pushing weed. Now he's talking tripping balls, I'm like, no, listen to my words. We're choosing the right words to say, because there is confusion. And so that's what we're set out to do, is to try to educate people that there's an entire queendom and we know very little about it. But what we already don't know, what we're finding out, is showing such positive benefits that you can't turn your back away. You can't just shut it off and say it's illegal. So yeah, it's very fun. It's a very profound place to be in my life. I'm like, wow, I couldn't have planned for this. Had I known, I would have studied mycology in college. Wow. And gone into foraging way earlier. Yeah. And got my herbalism certificate. Started working on that way sooner than just now. These are things that, I finally realized, I'm like, hey, let's take this, let's become this, let's dive into this, because we need people to go lead and do this. And I'm glad to be a person that's a voice for it. I'm not a mycologist. I don't know everything about it. I'm not going to baffle you with facts and numbers. I know that they work, they help me, they've helped so many. I know enough about them, I know how to grow them, I know and can identify quite a few, but I just know that this is something that it's like veggies, eat them. We've stopped eating our mushrooms, start getting them into your diet. And that's what we're trying to create, a nice way to do it that's palatable, but also that's got a lot of compounds, a lot of milligrams of the mushrooms in them. And that's why we did start UMBO, was similar to Charlotte's Web, was to keep a standard set. Hey, let's make sure, if we're going to claim that this is good for anxiety, this is beneficial for depression, this is beneficial for sleep, and this can help with inflammation and boost your immune system and help balance your gut and neuronal projection and nervous system, calmative. I mean, all these things, if we're going to claim this, then we better make sure that it's good product, grown with the right intention and extracted as best you can and put into it healing and love, not profit. And so that's really what we've tried to do. And that started with Charlotte's Web, because they are still one of the best, if not the best product on the shelf that you can get. They had these kids that helped them we're finding out a lot of really cool stuff about functional mushrooms. Like Lily's Lighthouse. People check out lilieslighthouse.org. Lily had seizures. She tried everything. She tried a blend of functional mushrooms, and it's been very helpful for her. So let's step into this, people. Let's find a way to help yourself get better. And if we can usher that in, I mean, what a gift. I never would have dreamt to be in this position. I can get into doors and take product to owners of NFL teams. That's the doors that I can get in that would take years to get there if you were just some forager with a backpack on trying to say, hey, these are good for you. No offense to this awesome forager that I'd like to go hang with, but those doors won't swing as open as for what I have. And so that's why I figure that's why I played ball, must been, so I can go where people that need this, I can hopefully keep knocking down those doors, keep going in them, and keep presenting this to where then they get curious enough to try it and then understand that I'm, again, just trying to let you know what's out there so you can optimally function and feel better.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I want to talk a little more about some of the specific challenges that football athletes and others in high impact sports are dealing with. But before turning there, I gotta let folks know we're actually going to do a little unboxing here. We've got some UMBO product that you brought with you, Jake, and wanted to mention too a little shout out. We just recorded a podcast interview recently with Dr. Elaine Ingham, who's considered by many the foremost soil scientist worldwide. Yeah. And she was telling us in the discussion when she started her career, and this was several decades ago, she wanted to look at the role of fungus in agricultural soils. And her advisor advised her basically to go to all the different soil scientists she could and inquire with them their views on her interest. To a man, and they were all men, she told us.
Wow.
The attitude and the opinion was fungus in the soil has no benefit. If anything, its presence is only going to cause disease and pathology for agriculture. And otherwise, they're just there taking up space.
Wow.
Well, we've come a long way in the last 30, 40 years to understand that along with the bacterial colonies, the fungal colonies and networks through the soil, life would not be here as we know it without them. They are so integral. And there's a really interesting parallel there looking at the kind of agricultural soil health side of things and the human biological health side of things. And I'm really excited. I know we're not going to be talking facts and figures this whole time, but some of the known entities, the peptides and so forth that we understand to be in some of these medicinal fungal species are, I think, important to know about. And and I'm excited to crack this box open and see what you brought with you today. Yeah,
we're excited. I mean, I'm excited. We're using powders from a very reputable company in most of our products. But the tinctures we have in the box here were grown in Fort Lupton at Mycolove and extracted at the lab that I helped start and put into the UMBO bottles. So it's like I know I've had my hands on those Cordyceps mushrooms with a glove on, of course. But I've had a hand in helping, not the straight up all the way cloning part, although I've done all of that. I mean, I have people doing that all the time at the farm, but I've been involved in the growth of these things. I don't do extractions. I'm not a chemist or biologist. I'm fascinated by how they do it. I love to learn, but I got the guys that know how to do this. And so it's really exciting to take the product that's fully grown with the intention to help somebody. Heal them, I don't like to say heal because that carries a lot of weight. Help. This is going to help you in some way, shape, or form. If you're consistent with taking these products, you will find something that benefits you. If you don't feel it, look at your watch. If you got one of those things that tracks all your stuff, it'll tell you you're sleeping better, you're optimizing more hours up on your feet, you're feeling more energized. And so, this is, it's fascinating to see, not only for us, as you mentioned, what it does for the soil, but mushrooms are not going away. They've been here for a long time. And there's also a lot of work with materials, biomaterials, micromaterials, packaging materials. I think that we could help ourselves really fast if we, stopped producing so much plastic and put some money into like finding the mushrooms that eat it, like oysters, and finding ways to create places where we could just dump our plastic and let the oysters take care of it. And there's filtration, microfiltration, micro-reforestation. Paul Stamets is a leading voice in all of this with studies on bees that he did with some mushrooms that helped colony collapse. And so this is going in so many directions. I mean, all over the map, you could say mushrooms are just starting to creep into our lives. And then, all The Last of Us, the show on HBO, comes out where Cordyceps turns people into zombies. But these zombies are like badass, like fast, and just like well, it's kind of the opposite. We're going to take zombies and then turn you into like what we need to pull off what you're trying to do, why on earth, and like what we all know we need to do with our soils, with our air, with our water, with our own like thoughts and what we put out there. It's hard to do that if you're not running on the right stuff. If you're taking, the products that they're telling us and they're putting out in the stores, not being cognizant of what you're putting in your body, you might not be able to function to the level that we need you at, and the Mother Earth needs you, so that we can all say, well, there's no way I can make a difference. Well, there is. There's so many little ways, and so this is my way to let's debunk the myth of mushrooms as bad or psychedelic only. And there are some that can kill you, so don't just go pick them and eat them. Like, this is not child's play here, and I don't mean that in any disrespect, because some children know more about mushrooms than we do because they don't think too much, they just know. So the mycelium and the whole mentioning that you said of the work that what was her name, the doctor
Elaine Ingham.
I mean, that's just it fascinates me, because the more I hear and the more I learn, and I'm there's so much out there, and the mycelium they know, and that's why I call them the queendom. I feel like it's mother. And when you say all men that were saying no, I mean, that's been one of the the topics of a lot of the downfall of agriculture, industrial revolution, all this stuff is the masculine dominance of more, I want more, and hordes, and gather, and less feminine energy around this. And so that's why I like to say it's the fungal queendom, because there's really nothing like it. It's not one of the kingdoms that's been there. This is a queendom. This is mama, and let's figure out how to make sure we treat her right. And while we profit from UMBO sales, people point your finger at me. Oh, you're profiteering. You're making money on mushrooms. Yeah, but we're cause driven. This is to keep building this to where we can get to where we can now put it back into the things that you're doing, the things that we need for people to come heal, to reach their potential as humans with the short time we have. Like, let's create spaces where people can come be free. They can come heal. They can come learn. Whatever that is, that's our goal with UMBO, is to try to help facilitate this as the mass. There's people growing in this cause, but there's also some people that have every bit of knowledge they need, but they don't have the funds to go buy the piece of land to build this thing that can help make a difference in their communities. Well, we want to help that happen through our company growing, supporting unlimitedsciences.org. Another great, my co-founder Del Jolly helped start that. They help responsibly research psychedelics, because people are wondering. We have a call center now. There's a call center you can call and ask questions about mushrooms, psychedelics, and if it's something you may want to look at, or you want to just learn more about, or you have a friend that tried them and is over in the corner and you don't know what to do, call. We'll help you. We've set this up to help people have good experiences, as good as they can with this, so that there's no fear around this whole entire queendom, because it's the mother, it's the queen.
Absolutely love it.
It's fun.
Yeah, I love it. And you were telling me before we started recording, you've been reading Rhodiola, the novel, and you're just about to get to the part
so good, man.
where the big reveal and crescendo occurs with the mother, and I can't say more than that. I think it'll give too much
feel
away,
you. I'm kind of like, there's something coming here. I'm feeling this building. It's been remarkable to read, though. Like such another like lists of names and stuff and things and words, and wow, I got to go back and I need to learn more to learn.
Well, I guess the reason I brought it up and made the connection to the book is, especially with the opportunities to connect and collaborate with folks we have through the Wine Earth community, the podcast, etc. What has become very, very clear is we humans are activating and stepping up and leaning in ways that really resemble the mycelial networks we see in the soil and the neuronal networks we see in nature. And it's such an exciting time, right? Because more and more folks are stepping up to help get the resources over to the folks looking to get the land, to get the stewardship and the medicine and food production going. And this is emerging worldwide. Yeah. So exciting. And by the way, I want to get into this box here. And one of the really fun connections we have is the affiliate relationship we're setting up with Y on Earth and UMBO. And so this is another really cool specific connection point. But look at this gorgeous box. I mean, boy, that reminds me of somebody.
Yeah, that's Rashad Evans, who's our other co-founder, cool. UFC Hall of Famer, a really beautiful, peaceful, spiritual man that also could probably whoop anyone's ass in the room, you know. But he's so tapped into, you know, his journey and where mushrooms have taken him, and you know, he's also helping us just get this into the hands of the people that need it. We can't force it. You know, it's, if you're curious, you'll go, oh, let me check that out. And
well, you guys have put this all together for us in such a great way with the performance on the one hand and the recovery on the other. And let's break into this, man. And maybe you can walk us through. There might be some
little fuzzy things in there. Yeah, you know, this is a very complex queendom. As we know, like I say to many people, like I know more than the average person on the street about mushrooms, but I don't know anything. And Paul Stamets, he knows more than everybody that you could even imagine, and he doesn't know jack either. Because we've just scratched the surface of like all of these pieces of paper. We've realized like about that much of what's out there, and there's all that to be explored. So we're just starting something here, which is a lot of fun. I'll dig through some of this. These are our first things we came up with was our bars. Yeah. We wanted to find a way, as we called it, like the pixie dust that was happening, where someone would make a mushroom bar, put 150 milligrams of lion's mane in it and call it a mushroom bar. While the 150 milligrams, that's good, you're getting some. A recommended therapeutic dose, which we really can't say because we haven't done the studies, but we are being told by a lot of experts anywhere from 300 to 1,000 milligrams a day, and you can do that with multiple mushrooms. You know, like the more the better. And if you find a way that's palatable, which a lot of people don't like mushrooms, this was our way to put the mushrooms into something that you would, not only a bar that you would like, oh, I gotta take this, but you crave it. Because a lot of the bars out there, pre-workout, for energy or for whatever, they got some good stuff in them sometimes. Sometimes they got a little bit of bad stuff, but a lot of them don't taste that great. And then the ones that do taste great, you're like, oh, okay, there's a lot of stuff a lot of added sugars. So these are out of honey, and our added sugars are high because we have to say honey, but it's honey. It's Honey Bunchies is a company in Longmont. Yep. We just added 2,500 milligrams of mushroom powders into these to give you a palatable way to take your mushrooms. So this one's dairy free also. So.
I love these. I've tried them. I've had them. Yeah, I've good, craved them. They're delicious. I mean, they are so good. And highly recommend folks try these out.
And you know, it's been super fun for me. I didn't study marketing or any of this stuff in college. And you say entrepreneur in the mushroom field, it's like, I really like a mushroom. I'm an opportunistic kind of optimist guy that falls into these things. And like a spore that landed here, here's my chance. We come up, being involved in the design has been a lot of fun. You know, to come up with, hey, let's put little balls on there. Some of this was my idea. And,
you got soccer balls, footballs.
Yeah, and like Yumbo instead of Umbo, like Yumbo or Unbelievable. You know, like those are little things that I threw in that is like, it's fun to be involved with this stuff and see it come and like see it on an REI. In REI, we're in REI, and it's like
in a bunch of REIs,
Yeah,
right?
and then Lucky's Market here in Boulder, and now YogaPod is selling them, and it's like when you see it, I'm like, yeah, man, I helped design that and pick the colors, and like my name's on it. So it's really fun. It's a lot of learning for me along the way. We got our capsules here. They're kind of buried in this stuff.
Yeah.
Our energy and focus, which is a nice blend of Cordyceps, and then a NAD plus precursor, which is a nicotinamide ribosoid. I hope I said that right. And then Rhodiola, which is an herb that's been used for centuries. The Vikings used it when they'd go out on the seas to stay focused and stay up for many, many, many hours at a time. Because you can't sleep when you're on the ocean. Replenishing sleep capsules. This is one that is non-drowsy, so if I'm having a day where I'm a little like just too much is going on and I'm feeling like a little anxious, because anxiety doesn't go away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to learn how to deal with it and have your body be able to have the tools inside of it, your nervous system and your system's functioning well. So when an anxious situation or something comes up, you know how to breathe through it and know that you're going to be all right. And so this is something these have been really good with lion's mane, reishi, and L-theanine. And that's another herb that just induces a state of calm and also clarity. So sometimes at night, you're running through these things in your head and you can't come to anything, and this cycle goes and it keeps you up. And so this can cause you to sleep. And it's been really positive. We've had a lot of great reviews on people's, charting longer hours of deep sleep with their watches. So it's now coming out of that little data center. So we know these are working and helping people get a good night's rest, because you can't really go do what you need to do if you're not recovering well.
Yeah. Well, and I gotta say, this packaging is so beautiful. And back when we had the food hub, we helped get a lot of different brands up into Whole Foods and the airport and Vail Resorts and Aspen Ski Company, University, all sorts of stuff. And actually, Honey Bunchies was one of the companies we worked with, and
they're great.
So we've seen a lot of packaging, and boy, you guys nailed it on this. And I love how the colors indicate whether we're talking about the performance side or the rest and recover side.
And it's a way to make a complex thing, mushrooms. They're very confusing when you have all these things listed as what it is. People don't know what reishi and lion's mane and L-theanine, and it can be a little bit intimidating. So we want people to know what it's for. It's for sleep. It's for energy and focus, and the color coding, of course, is good. And then we'll move on to the recharge and the charge. I'm really excited about this, because these are, like I said, 3 of the mushrooms in here are grown at our farm, and all of them are extracted here in Longmont, and then they're in the bottle. It says from Jake's farm, so that's pretty exciting. And again, just trying to come up with something that shows you, like every day, if you do these, consistency over time equals results. It's just, you don't eat broccoli once and go, holy smokes, broccoli's amazing. You just know you need it. Vitamins, minerals, all the good stuff. If you're taking them daily, you'll notice, you'll feel something.
Yeah.
And know that they're working with your systems in your body to balance things out. These are great for, immunomodulating and adaptogenic effects of mushrooms are really the key to what these are. If you want to make it simple, it helps your body adapt to stress better. It helps your bodily functions, whether that's your nervous system, cardiovascular system, your circulatory system, your endocrine system, whatever it is. These mushrooms have shown to be beneficial in helping regulate those. So my theory is that you don't spend energy digesting your food, because your body knows how to do that, because your gut is in balance, because turkey tail is really good to balance out your gut. It naturally does that, and it's really great for patients that are taking radiation and chemo, as it's been used in Japan for years. They prescribe it, and so we're just channeling this knowledge that's been there and bringing it in a palatable way to people here that are wanting to, or maybe they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's really where it's at.
Absolutely.
And then our last thing is really exciting. It's part of the category that's super confusing and hard, because there's so many drinks, and you read the ingredients and you're just like, wow. energy drinks. They're full of sugar, they're full of caffeine, guarine, all these substances that can really make you get real amped up, which if you need that, great. But a natural way, we've created play and pause, which they're drinks. We use our salts here, electrolyte salts from Boulder Salts, which is a very good company, does a really good job. And there are also some adaptogens in there. The play has ceremonial matcha and maca root and tulsi leaf, along with cordyceps and lion's mane and chaga, and then natural fruit for the sweetener, so 4 grams of sugar. and we hope they taste good to you. We did a ton of taste samples, and so far people have been enjoying them. The pause is for post-workout. Play, get ready to go hike, go work out, go ride your bike, go to hot yoga, go jiu-jitsu, whatever it is, drink a play, and then when you're done in the afternoon, evening, drink a pause, and this is going to help calm the nervous system down, replenish turkey tail, replenish your gut health, reishi to relax you, and then tremella also to rehydrate you, because tremella is used in a lot of facial products for hydration. And so that, along with chamomile and ashwagandha, and yeah, that's what we got, man. Wow. These are our products. Beautiful. And it's really fun. I'm able to provide something that's going to, I believe, help people. I mean, they're searching. A lot of people are looking for a drink that they can drink, and if we can put this and get this out, that's the challenge.
Absolutely.
Getting it out and in front of people so they know there is a healthy option that's got a lot of good in it.
Well, we're gonna do our part to let folks know about this and encourage folks. We'll have a affiliate opportunity for folks to get to your products through the Y on Earth ecosystem.
Thank you.
And it's so beautiful. I mean, so well done with the packaging and the education and information, right? That's huge. It really helps, I think, a lot of us get a grip on the opportunity here with these incredible mushroom medicines.
Yeah, we created a playbook on our website that breaks down all of what we put into all of our products, everything. You can read why ashwagandha, what does it do? Why should I have this? What does it mean? Where do you get it? We've broken it down so that people can understand, because a lot of it is just, they don't know.
Yep.
And once they can find out, and on our cans, the little ripples that come out. Another one of my ideas that I love, because it's like, we drop where we're at, I land wherever I'm at, and these ripples go out. And it's like, they go and they're felt, and some people come back from them. The ripples come back. When a ripple hits a wall, it goes back where it came from. And so we're just sending out ripples. Who's listening? Who's curious? You out there? Hello? That's the fun part. I don't know who shows up, and that's been the real fun about this. Is just almost the mother guide us, let us know. We're moving at your speed, at nature, and everything is everything's happening.
Absolutely love that, and reminds me of that song "Ripple on Still Water" that several of my good friends love for its deeper symbolic meaning, which isn't necessarily obvious to all of us. But man, I gotta say, in addition to being pretty good at throwing a football, you've got a real marketing knack. I mean, these are super compelling designs.
Yeah, I mean, I had the professionals to take the ideas and make it look like this, but it's fun to throw out the ideas and be involved with designing the swirls on the charge and recharge, and just kind of putting I think this is what this should look like.
That's cool. Yeah.
I think that cool. This one was fun because the Chinese, the enza, is it the enza, the circle? I think they call it an enza, the paint circle that starts in thick in a paintbrush and comes around, and it's a little faint at the end.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's was my idea here, was let's start and it's just start the motion, get this to get started. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm an artist, and was an artist as a youngster, and was an artist on the field, and I don't have a bunch of art laying around that I do, but I love creating. Yeah. And that's kind of it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right on.
Especially when you can get a finished product and oh yeah, this looks good.
Maybe we'll have to weave you into our new guild. We're launching different guilds for our ambassador network, and we've got one called Artist, Artisan, and Aesthetics Guild launching. So we'll have to let you know about that.
Everybody's an artist. Anybody? Right. I'm not an artist. No, we all are artists.
Well, you mentioned the playbook on the website. Is that getumbo.com? Is that the right website? Okay. Yep. Maybe I'll take a quick minute and just remind our audience this is the Why on Earth Community Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron William Perry, and today we're visiting with Jake Plummer, talking about his mushroom company, GetUMBO, his mushroom farm as well, Myco Love Farm, and the incredible work he's doing helping get these healing mushrooms and medicines out to more and more of us. I want to be sure to mention that you can connect with UMBO on Instagram. It's at GetUMBO, and we'll have this in the show notes, of course. And of course, you can connect with Jake as well on LinkedIn, Jake Plummer, and on Instagram at Snake Plummer. We'll get back to why snake in a second. And I want to be sure to give a shout out to our many members and ambassadors who help make this podcast series possible through their generous monthly giving. If you would like to join, become part of our monthly giving program at any level, you can go to whyonearth.org and just go to the support page and set that up. Or now you can go to our new Patreon page, and you've got a lot of goodies waiting for you at the Patreon page, access to free ebooks. For anybody giving at the $33 or higher level each month here in the United States, we're happy to send you a jar of the Waylay Waters hemp-infused aromatherapy soaking salts as a thank you each month to further help with your self-care and well-being practice. And of course, I want to give a shout out to several of our corporate sponsors and partners. This includes Chelsea Green Publishing. By the way, YOE35 is the code you can use to get a 35% discount on all their books and audiobooks. Waylay Waters, hemp-infused aromatherapy soaking salts. Profitable Purpose Consulting, working with all kinds of bee-certified companies and others. Earth Coast Productions and New Earth Coast News. Patagonia and Earth Hero. And Dr. Bronner's as well. A huge shout out to that whole community of amazing companies and leaders. And again, if you want to connect and join our ambassador network, just go to whyonearth.org and you can get that process underway. One of the benefits of becoming an ambassador is you have access to a whole bunch of additional video resources, including recordings from our monthly ambassador meetups with folks from all around the world. And talks, seminars, lectures that have been given at various symposia and conferences, and a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes segments with our podcast guests. And Jake and I will be doing one of those after this main podcast episode as well, dive a little more deeply behind the scenes. And so, yeah, huge thanks and shout out to everybody. And once again, you can go to getumbo.com to get your hands on these amazing products. And so I want to circle back and weave back into the some of the issues we're seeing with certain professional athletes in particular around impacts on the brain. And there's a connection here to some of the stuff a lot of us are having to deal with in our families and perhaps in our own lives, like dementia and Alzheimer's. And then we got to connect in the dot too of Jake the snake. Why snake? So maybe we can start with why snake, and then talk a little about how these products are so promising for all of us, whether we're dealing with brain trauma from sports impacts or other causes behind things like Alzheimer's and dementia and so on.
Lots to cover. Obviously, the first is my nickname, I guess, is important for some people to know, because a snake can have a negative connotation to some, like there's snake oil salesmen or just someone who's a snake is coming and sneaking in. But my nickname came because I was skinny and it was hard to catch. And my name in the third grade became Jake, as I was born with Jason as my legal name. And when I transferred into the third grade at Pierce Park Elementary in Boise, Idaho, there were 4 Jasons currently in the class, and I was going to be the fifth, and the teacher in the hallway before she brought me in, Mrs. Jenkins, she was a great teacher. She asked me, "Do you go by anything else?" And I said, "Well, I've been called Jake." And she didn't hesitate. She said, "All right, Jake, let's go." And walked in and said, "Hello, class. We have a new student. His name is Jake Plummer. Welcome, Jake, to the class. Jake, please take your seat." And I was Jake. And so snake rhymed with Jake. And I read another thing when I was 7th grade. I read Kenny Stabler's biography, which he was Kenny Stabler, the snake. He was he was the original in the NFL, a left-handed gunslinger for the Oakland Raiders that would not be allowed to participate in this current environment of the NFL because he partied like crazy and smoked cigarettes, drank beer, snorted coke, chased women, and slung the ball like nobody. You know, like amazing. Won a game one time, AFC Championship game, got dropped off in a limo at the stadium. Fell out of the limo, beer cans, ladies in the limousine. He went in when they'd had a great game and they won the AFC Championship. Like, this won't happen again.
Different time, different era.
And I'm not like, I didn't embody that necessarily as a player. I love to have fun after games, but I wasn't a wild man like that. But so Kenny Stabler, the snake, my brothers, a lot of friends started calling me the snake in junior high. It kind of stuck around there. And then when I went to college, I just signed Jake the Snake Plummer. It was like, I'm here, I'm ready. Jake the Snake Plummer. I've been practicing, tracing Walter Payton's autograph, Joe Montana's, Randall Cunningham's. You know, I had it all ready. So when I got there, signed Jake the Snake Plummer, number 16, and it stuck. And thankfully I could make people miss. You know, I was a mobile quarterback that was able to get out of the pocket, you know, 5 guys, and then here I come out, just like a snake. You know, you never know they're there, and then they're there, and then you look and they're gone. And so that's kind of was my way I played somewhat. And so most stuff has snake on it, Snake Plummer for Instagram. And my teammates call me Snake. Not many other people call me Snake. The wife will say, "Hey, Snake," once in a while when she's like wants to get my attention. But yeah, it's just it was a good nickname. It was fun. That's been so on cool. Jeopardy because of it too. That's pretty cool. I've been one of the answers on Jeopardy.
That's so fun.
Snakes, famous snakes. So this one played in Arizona, led the Sun Devils, whatever. And so cool. Who's Jake the Snake? And like, yeah, I was on Jeopardy.
That's awesome. Well, and I know you're going to get to some of these other topics too, but just a quick interjection. It's really interesting the way the symbolry of the snake has taken on such a negative connotation for some of us, when in fact, in many cultures, the snake is so highly regarded as a symbol of fertility and the life rebirth cycle. And you know, obviously snakes are very important in the ecosystem function for many of the regions of the world. So it's very interesting. Yeah,
the pharmaceutical companies, most of the RX have the snake going up
the Cordyceps.
Yep. And so my foundation is benefiting from every sale of these bars. We created a little, where is it on here? We created a little a logo that shows, I'll find it easier on here, the snake kind of wrapping around a football. Similar, that was my idea behind it. And like, hey, let's make people know the snake's a good thing, which I'm glad you mentioned that, because it is very symbolic of a lot of great things in other cultures, and when you really dive into what snake medicine's all about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which is, you know, again, I'm able to step into, you know, we say medicine, but we really can't, because it's just a food group that is very, very helpful. Very beneficial, but we're finding it's going to, you know, hopefully change the game in a lot of different ways for people's health.
And yeah, speaking of changing the game, literally and metaphorically, you know, talk a little, if you would, about the CTE, TBI, you know, traumatic brain injury, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, if I'm saying that correctly or close. This is something that folks in football deal with a lot in particular, and has implications and applications to the broader society in general. Right?
Yeah, I mean, football is the sport that kind of coined this CTE term. They were studying brains and finding out that, you know, there was these spots in the brains that were just dead, and these brains were of a lot of former players that were donated to be studied. A lot of them showing signs of dementia, Alzheimer's, depression, suicidal ideation, a lot of things you don't want to deal with while you're alive. And so this came about, you know, how many years ago did the movie Concussion come out? Probably over 10, 12 years ago. And that was in the NFL right around when Junior Seau ended up committing suicide, and he shot himself in his chest because he wanted to have his brain for research, because he was suffering internally, while on the outside, Junior was full of life, but he was suffering internally with like hearing about these former players and what they go through, all the NFL and the good that it does as an entertainment industry, and paying these players and providing entertainment for families and cultures to be able to gather as a community. They really have had a hard time taking care of their former players in the right way, I should say. They try, they set things up, but then we come out with something like this that is really scary. When you read about CTE, which is caused, what they're saying, by multiple TBI, traumatic brain injuries. And so traumatic brain injuries are concussions, where you're jarred and you're rattled and you're blacked out and your brain is jostled inside of your head. I mean, it's the control center floating in fluid inside your skull. And when you smash your head, whether you're wearing a helmet or not, and some would say the helmet was made not as a protector for our brains, but as a weapon to make the game more violent. That's what it did. And so guys I had multiple concussions during my playing days. I can't say that they're in any medical record because I never came off the field. In fact, I never came off once. I never stopped play in my whole entire career. They never came out to me laying on the field. And I did that for my mama. I didn't want her to suffer through a commercial break, you know. And so whatever that is, I was able and lucky enough to get through it, but I know my brain was rattled numerous times. And subconcussive blows are also what are being shown to cause even more damage. And those are non-concussion, where you're diagnosed and like you're out of it, but where you're just popping your head, linemen smashing their heads against each other 100 times every practice, 5 days a week, 3-4 days a week. And then on Sundays, it's violent, it's hardcore, it's happening. And so these are adding up. And we know it's not good for you. We know it's not good to rattle your brain. It's happening for our soldiers who have, you know, explosives, and when they're going through and falling and hitting their head and having TBI. And it's the same for a lot of athletes in a lot of different sports that are having TBI. A bald eagle just flew by. Thank you for that. When I get to see, it's like I got to recognize. So it's all sports, boxing, UFC. Like if your head's been rattled, and even weekend Joes, you know, warriors, whatever, they're out there playing sports, they're hitting their heads. So any sort of brain injuries, you know, the CTE term is very scary because it holds a lot of weight of, you know, depression, anxiety, anger issues, dementia, and Alzheimer's. And that's kind of the path that we're saying these players that have had multiple concussions, and, you know, where did I put my keys? Oh man, and then it starts, and that can just snowball. And just the thought alone of, oh Jesus, oh God, I played too long, you know, that's unhealthy. And so I'm trying to flip that narrative. I really want to go against the status quo of, hey, former players, here's your pensions, here's your prescription card, here's your in-hospital network. It's all provided for you. We'll assess your brain and body, but we don't really have a great plan to reverse this damage. I want to find what's out there to reverse this. Not just by lasers on your head and dark and music and some positive things, but actually, like, let's do some studies. Let's find out if maybe psilocybin mixed with lion's mane can heal and reconnect some neuronal pathways that have been severed through some of these violent collisions that we root so mightily for on Sundays and Saturdays and Fridays and Thursdays and Mondays. Every freaking day of the week there's football going on. That's just one sport that we get to see, let alone high school, junior high, Pop Warner, 8-year-olds wearing helmets. I mean, skateboarders hit their head. I mean, people that are active, they're going to have to face this at some point. Can we find what's out there amongst all of this? Can we find what may be able to reverse this thing we're calling CTE that we so, you know, eagerly have to await to be dead when they look at our brains to see if we had it or not? And maybe that explains why I was a mudgy curmudgeon-y asshole for 20 years of my life because I had problems from banging my head against, for money. Hey, we make a lot of money, but what good is it if you're not living a good lifestyle? So we're setting out to find this out. And if it's psychedelics, if it's functional mushrooms, if it's cannabis, whatever it is, we got to stop thinking this stuff's illegal and start really decriminalizing and putting the money towards that rather than a prescription card. I don't take prescriptions, so the money they're giving me for that's going to waste. I want to spend my money that they rather prefer prescriptions for massage, for acupuncture, for sound bath with Carissa, for things that I know help me feel better and come out of it alive and being grateful for being here, not thinking, oh shit, I can't find my keys. Oh no, honey, I think I have CTE. Man, that's no way to live, because we all got to face our maker. We all got to face the degradation of our bodies and our brains. It's something that our society kind of like talks about. Better plan for your retirement, and all this stuff. But let's look into like long-term, like 80, 90-year-olds being at their peak mentally.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
I think it's there. And so if I can do my small part, man, what a gift. What I did on the football fields just like was a game. Just recess. That was fifth grade recess. Now I'm stepping into like what really I'm here for.
Wow.
And people are coming out of the woodworks, you included, to help just get it out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're all in it together. And the leadership piece, is something we're paying very close attention to through the Wine Earth community, with ambassadors and folks all over the world leaning in, working on these interconnected issues: stewardship, sustainability, health, well-being. And, one of the things I want to acknowledge, Jake, knowing you, and we've been getting to know each other these last couple of years, meeting first through the regenerative farm community here in the area, and becoming friends, hanging out a bit. One of the things I see in you is this form of leadership that I often will see in somebody like a quarterback, maybe a catcher in baseball, somebody who has to bring the team together and communicate to the team and with the team, which kind of makes me think of the mycelia again. And you have such a way of inspiring and encouraging and acknowledging others in the community and that you're collaborating with, and it's awesome. And my sense is the degree to which we see this kind of leadership, like what you exhibit, emerging more fully in the movement to make our world better for everybody. We're gonna get there. Just like you're saying about getting 80, 90 years old and having very high level cognitive performance. This is possible. We can do it, and it's happening. Let's
put our energy into that. That's what I think, because then we can all be fresh for the time we need. That's going to take to right some of our wrongs here on the planet, so we can ensure that our children have clean air and clean water. I mean, that's really having kids puts a lot in perspective. Like, oh man, I grew up in a time where we were really free, and now we got to realize like we got to make some changes. We don't have to limit what we can do. We just have to be more cognizant and more embodied in the whole. And there's so much to learn. And the thought of living to an old age has been something I've been really sitting with and feeling good about. Like I plan to live for a long time. So I'm only into the first part of my journey, not even really, I believe, halfway yet. And at 49, that can show you where I feel like I'm going. I mean, I plan to be here for another whole 50, if I can be another 50 plus, like what I did already in 49 and what I hope to do in the next 50, like, wow, I'm ready, I'm excited. And so, thank you for the kind words. I mean, being a leader, it's hard because like I never liked to be the guy out in front of everything, but as a quarterback, I had no choice. But like whenever I could, it was about my team, because I knew like, yes, I'm an important part and very important because the ball's in my hand, but I can't do it without my lineman. The center gives me the ball. If he didn't give it to me, I couldn't do it. So really I've argued the center is the most important person on the entire offensive field. No, you are. Like, he gives me the ball. He says, here you go, do your thing, Jake. He allows me to go do what I do to be the person that we have to be. So yeah, when I played, it was always who everybody was a piece of that success. And if what I did was at the level that I needed it to be at and even more, then, you know, everybody would rise up. And if I was down a little bit, they would say, hey, let's rise up to bring him up with us again. And it was just that constant, you know, rise with each other, you know, all ships rise together. And so being a leader was something that happened, you know, it wasn't something I was taught how to be or anything like that. It just was something that I found myself in situations, most of the time doing good, sometimes was leading people down the wrong path. And that's always good to learn, you know, learn where your influence can go if you're not careful. Be sure where you're guiding it. And but most of it's been really good. And so whether I'm a leader or not, I don't feel like, you know, you can lead with this. It's just I'm ushering it in as a conduit, you know, from what's been here forever. And if that makes me a leader, then great. I want more to step up like me. If we could get some of these high-profile athletes to endorse broccoli and sweet potatoes and not Lay's and Pepsi, it'd make a huge difference. Or vertical farming or microgreens. My buddy here, I'm wearing his shirt, Urban Roots Farm in Arizona. They're doing in the desert. It's taking our water out of the Colorado. They're doing vertical farming and with very little water, and they're making microgreens and they're doing it really well. And it's like, that's what I want. Like, when's LeBron James going to endorse microgreens and all these small farms and communities? Like, that's where the difference is made, not endorsing Pepsi. You know, God damn, this is why we're here right now, having to band together and see who's willing to go, you know, put forth the effort to make a difference.
Hallelujah. Well, the door's open to LeBron. A shout out to LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron, let's go. And Serena Williams, come on.
Yeah, and Urban Roots Farms, love to connect with them and collaborate a bit. And I love what you're saying about we're all rising together. Amen to that.
Yeah, I mean, we see it here where we live. It's apparent. Everyone here is very into living that kind of lifestyle as much as they can. But you get out into the real world and you see like, whoa, okay, some people really are struggling just to get by. And that's sad when people can't eat, they don't have a place to stay. You know, it's some of the homeless situation didn't dawn on me till I did an event in Arizona, and a guy working for St. Vincent de Paul, or was it, yeah, I think St. Vincent or the Salvation Army was working with the homeless. And he said, let me give you a breakdown of homeless, because I know you all think homeless and you think, oh, damn, they're begging at the corner and I would like lock my car if they came by. Well, I worked with a lady who has 2 children who is homeless. Why? Because she missed 1 month's rent and had her child got sick. She couldn't go to work for a week. She lost her job. And all of a sudden now she's homeless. She's a good human. She's a great American, paying taxes, working 2 jobs to feed and educate her children, yet she's homeless. So the homeless is not what we pictured in this country. And so there's a lot that can be done. And I mean, it's almost overwhelming. So
well, thank you.
Find your lane and get
for giving voice to that. Because I want to say that we have a couple of podcast guests planned for a bit later in the year dealing with the housing crisis, which is extreme at this point, the economic challenges so many of us are facing. So thank you for acknowledging that. And boy, oh boy, the better we get, from my perspective and in my opinion, at taking care of each other, all of us, the higher quality of life we're each gonna get to experience.
And that's the mycelia teaching us.
Yeah.
I mean, they share nutrients from one tree through the mycelial network into another tree that's suffering. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna send you some love, and that tree comes back to life. And that's just like, we're just mirroring that as little spores on earth, mirroring that mycelial web that's been here long before we ever showed up. Will be here long after we're gone, and decomposes all of our waste. And here it is, you know. So I'm so excited that my kids are interested in this. As Dale and I, when we started this, was like, what are our kids going to do for a living? What are they going to go to school for? What are they going to do? Like, how can we provide? What are we going to do for them? Like, let's start a mushroom company, man. Let's let them at least have an avenue to like learn about this and come work. Find the next mushroom on a tree down here and go clone it and see what compounds it has. And as we keep exploring this queendom, find what else is out there. That's exciting for me.
absolutely
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's really fun.
Well, speaking of sharing the love, if folks are interested in connecting with Jake for Myco Love Farm, this is where you can get the organic wholesale functional mushroom extracts.
Yes.
And again, getumbo.com. You know, what a joy to have this time to visit with you, Jake. And we're going to transition in a few minutes to our behind the scenes episode for our ambassadors. Again, folks, if you aren't yet in the ambassador network and you want to join, just go to whyonearth.org and get the journey started there. But before transitioning, just to wrap up this podcast episode, Jake, I want to invite you, the floor is yours, man, to share and say anything else you'd like to that we didn't yet cover, and you know, anything of import and perhaps inspiration that might be good for our audience today.
Yeah, I guess just a kind of my life in general, of what I've done and how I've kind of lived it, is just being present in the moment as much as I can. You know, I did go through some tough times post-career, having my hips worked on, not replaced, but fixed so that I could avoid a hip replacement, and dealing with just the ups and downs and the headaches and the pain I deal with. I don't know if it's how severe it is, because we got so good at pushing pain away. So, you know, a lot of people deal with a lot of pain. And so when people deal with pain, it's hard to function. And I guess the one benefit I felt first from Charlotte's Web, when I was using a Schedule 1 listed drug that our government feels has no medical benefit, I felt my mobility come back. I felt the headaches and the pain and the throbbing go away. And now with the use of these functional mushrooms, I felt inflammation go away. But I've also made the changes necessary. This isn't just, hey, here you go, this is the magic box. Mm-hmm. Do this and you're gonna be good. Like, you gotta take into account how you're speaking, what you're watching, mm-hmm. what you're saying, of course, who you're living around, what you're putting in your body, how you're treating yourself. You mentioned self-care earlier with the bath salts. Like, mm-hmm. are you taking care of yourself? It's the most selfless act to take care of yourself. People would say selfish, but it's not. When you're right, you can represent well to the people around you. And I've learned that being a parent, being a partner. When I'm not right, it doesn't work. So when I'm right, and that takes work, and I shouldn't say work, I mean, I'm very blessed as a young kid being able to play a game, to be financially set at age 23. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had money since then. Mm-hmm. So I don't see from the angle of people that do struggle financially and economically. And I feel for them, I feel that. But even just taking those moments to stop and breathe, taking that moment to like, oh, okay. I mean, sometimes it's hard to put good food in your body because you can't afford good food. Mm-hmm. But that's what we're trying to do. Like, mm-hmm. we're trying to make this more community driven so people can have access to microgreens. Or my goal with this is to make this so that everybody can have it, mm-hmm. so that it's at schools, so that you don't have to pay much for this. Like, profit is not our final mode with this. We have to profit enough to get the people in place, mm-hmm. to then drive the price down so that it's able to go mm-hmm. to more and more people. Whether that's us or another brand, I don't care. Just know that these have helped me. And into life, like, just always, I said never a couple times, that I would never do something, and all of a sudden I was doing it. I'm like, okay. So never say never has been one thing. I really, such a kind of a corny thing, but just always leave open the possibilities of what's out there. And if you take care of yourself in whatever way that is, you know, I love to do yoga. I like to take time to meditate when I can. I really like to pursue joy. And like I said, I have the freedom and time, but I do spend a lot of time in these other avenues doing things. And I realize when I get caught up, if I'm not taking care of myself, like the 5 minutes I just went on a little walk before I got over here, because I've been in my car and I'm driving and I'm like, just go over there and just check out the nature for a minute. It's all around us. So, you know, we get to control how we feel, how we react. And I just wish everybody the best in pursuing, you know, a happy, peaceful life.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jake. It's such a joy to be able to visit with you today, and really appreciate what you're doing, my man.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, and thanks for the entertainment, man. I'm going to have to dive into more of your books, but we're going to finish that book. I'll be calling you.
Looking forward to it. Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, brother.